And these snapshots basically make a tree. You should think of it like Git for your operating system, because it makes like a hierarchy of snapshots. If one of the commands either fails or you change it, it reuses the previous cache and then builds again. So it doesn't rerun the same command several times unless you really need to. Okay, that was Docker. Now Rocket. Rocket is also a container engine. It's a lot younger than Docker, so it's kind of new. It emphasizes a lot on composability. So basically, you can have different applications, like a sort of dependency management between your virtual, like your containers. Another really cool feature about Rocket is the fact that it implements a specification. So it's not the only runtime that can work with the app container specification. This specification tells the implementers and the runtime how much RAM do you want to allocate it, if you want to enforce certain rules, or if you want like a sort of dependency management, like your web server depends on Mongo or something like this. Rocket also adds a lot of security because you can use isolators. So you can use tools like AppArmor, for example, or CLinux, and say this container can only connect to that port, or can only have this amount of CPU or RAM or whatever constraints you want. And you can reuse the same tools. Also, it doesn't need to run as root. Docker depends on daemon that runs as root, which is not very comforting from security point of view. Okay, so when I started learning about Rocket, I was like, okay, so there's a new container engine. So let's see how it compares to Docker and which one is best and figure out the winner. Well, apparently it's not a competition. Some things that Docker does very well, like immutable snapshots and building your image incrementally, Rocket barely touches. So you can build once, but it's not like you're doing it like in Rocket. Rocket, on the other hand, has a lot of security features that people might like and might use. So basically, you can use them for different things. I know people are using Rocket in Docker in production, for example, but I think Rocket would be a better fit for this, while Docker is a better fit for building your dev machines or building your container and then running it in Rocket. So now I'm going to have a small demo. I'm going to fetch a JavaScript application off the internet, build a Docker container with it, run it inside Docker, and then convert it to Rocket and run it inside Rocket. Okay, so this is my Docker file. As you can see, it's very similar to the one I showed you before. So it gets from Nginx maintainer, which is, well, my name, installs Git, then removes the old web app, which is a index HTML, clones the 2D MVC JavaScript app, and then finishes the build. Okay. Just wait a few seconds. I was highlighting to show off each part. This is a video. I'm cheating. Okay. So this is the file. Now I'm building it. As I said, -t is the name. I want to give it a name so I can figure it out after. Now, if you can see in the left, it's step 1, step 2. It basically runs each command in sequence. And now it's installing Git core. But apparently, I asked for Git core, and I'm downloading the whole internet right now, like Perl and other dependencies. That's what package managers do. Okay, so it's gonna finish installing Git in like 30 seconds or so. Then it's gonna remove the old web app, the HTML, the index HTML, and clone the new one from JavaScript. Okay, so it made a snapshot, and now it's removing the old one, cloning it. Okay, awesome. So now it finished, it built. If I'm gonna run the same command twice to build the container, it's gonna just skip through it because it's gonna, okay, now I have no containers. So now if I build it, oh, I don't. Yeah, sorry, I forgot. I was not going to show this. So right now you can check the web app, which is installed. Okay, so that was for the first video, just basically basic hello world for Docker. Now I'm gonna stop it. Okay. Okay, so this is the second video. Now I'm going to run, okay. Technical issues. So hope this works this time. Now I'm gonna save the image, the Docker image, and then going to run it inside inside Rocket. So I'm telling Docker to save it as todo.docker, and it's gonna take a few seconds, like 30 or so. And then now you should see the file, the new file, to do Docker. Now I'm going to use Docker to ACI, which converts the Docker container into ACI specification, which Docker knows how to run, which Rocket knows how to run, sorry. Now it's extracting each layer because, as I said, Docker has several layers, and that is the hash of each layer. Okay, still waiting. Okay, so it finished. It also tells me that I need to map this volume. Basically, it's like a shared folder with the guest. Okay. Now this is the command that I'm gonna run Rocket with. So it's basically Rocket run. The volume part basically maps a shared folder, which this image needs, but it should work without it, but I couldn't manage it for this demo, so it's a small issue. And now just run todo.aci, the file that was generated. Okay, so now Rocket is running that image, and we're gonna check in the browser and see the image. This time it's gonna run on local host. So, okay, so that was it. This is my journey with Docker and Rocket, and I hope you liked my talk. If you have any questions.
When you were doing the convert to ACI
Yeah.
stuff, right, and it was going through various is it snapshots of the actual binary build?
Yeah, yeah.
You mentioned that there's an emphasis on Docker in people's code.
Yeah, the thing is, there are a lot of tools around Docker that can actually do this type of stuff, but they're not standardized in a way. Basically, when I converted the file from Docker to Rocket, I got JSON that told, like, I think I have in the video a little. Yeah, so now I'm extracting the archive, the Rocket ACI, and now it extracted what's inside. It's like root, file system, and manifest. Manifest basically describes how the Rocket like the whole description, the descriptor of the Rocket container. And if we format it, you can see here how it understands various aspects of it. And you can see at line 13 an app which has an environment, a name, and also binary in like in the part that is not visible. Well, with Rocket, you can have something called pods, and instead of app, I could have put apps, and have several ones. Yeah, so it's like, basically I could use, inside of app, I could use like Mongo and Nginx as two separate apps. Now this was like a very simple Hello World example, but it can be more complex.
And you're saying how would you do that in Docker?
Docker has a lot of tools, for example, Fleet, or you can have something like separate systemd units, which basically spawns different containers. But it's a little difficult since you have to manually figure things out, which one needs to start first and stuff like this. Like you need to manually start them and stop them. It's a little more difficult.
So in the early example where you talk about Docker, you did pull Nginx, run Nginx. You do that for all the other components of your solution environment, right? So you do that for Postgres,
Yeah.
and VJs, all those things. You pull those down. But those are all different containers running on VPS or the machine. When you then go to ACI, would you have all of those listed there as apps? Would you have Nginx as an app and Postgres as an app and everything else? Or how?
Yeah, basically I could have converted them. I could have something like a build system, for example, and would do the conversion automatically and then run the Rocket container after building them. Okay, yep.
Do you do any deployments using Docker or Rocket? I mean, do you ship code to production using any of these tools?
Okay, so Rocket is kind of new, and I'm working with it on a personal project. But I'm using Rocket for a personal project of mine, and and also within T.A.K.E, within the company that I work for, there are like 2 projects using Docker. So yes for Docker, not yet for Rocket. Any other questions? Okay.
You were suggesting that Rocket might be a better fit for production, so you guys haven't actually used it in production yet then?
Well, no, it's a very young technology, but I'm very interested in the features that it offers that Docker simply cannot in the way it looks like right now. Because right now it depends on running as root, so it also doesn't have a very standardized dependency system, which Rocket offers.
What about networking in Rocket? As far as I know, for Docker, there are some external projects that deals with networking, like Weaver. But what about Rocket? Does it have something built in?
Well, it's in the app container specification. So you can manage it inside the file I showed you in the end, the JSON file. So you can say various stuff that are related to that, that container. Also, Rocket is based on systemd and span, which systemd has a really cool feature. Systemd is an init system. It starts and stops your applications. And it's kind of taking over the whole GNU Linux world right now. It's on Debian, Ubuntu. They have something called socket activation. Basically, the operating system is opening a socket for you. And when your first connection comes to that socket, whatever, it's like port 80 for HTTP or Mongo or whatever, when the first connection starts, it can boot the container and then handle the socket to the container. And basically, there's no issue in transferring the data. It just buffers it and sends it when the container is ready. Yeah.
Have you tried using Docker Compose? It's a new project, and it basically enables you to have multiple containers and dependencies inside the standard image. So basically, it builds all the dependencies.
Okay, sounds cool. I never used it. I know there are a lot of tools around Docker apparently appearing recently. I'm trying to keep up. Thank you. So if there are no other questions, I would like to thank you for attending my presentation. See you around.